Happy New Year, everybody. Excuse me. This is a video critique of Big D Wiz. So I saw this video a couple of days ago, and it really I did not like it. And I was trying to figure out why. And there's a couple of reasons why, and I want to articulate those things for you today. So I will make some jokes during it because I don't want this to be super heavy, because it's not meant to be heavy. It's meant to just simply be a critique that I would enjoy someone else giving me. Okay, Derek did not ask for this. This is something that is in my craw, and I want to get out. And as a content creator, this is all that happens in my brain. Is I get an idea, I want to develop it, and then I publish it, and then I don't think about it anymore for the most part. So, but anyways, so this one is of a JDL amp that whatever Derek purposely bought. So there's a couple of things that I don't like about what he's doing in the video. One is he criticizes manufacturers for things that he finds unattractive, which is a weird thing to make a video about. So now he's making a video about a product that he doesn't like and he thinks is basically a piece of shit. And he's showing you why he thinks it's a piece of shit. So that seems a little weird, and it also seems a little cruel. Now for me, I've seen the manufacturing side, and I come from that side. I've also seen the marketing side, and I see how much bullshit it is. And so really what I see Derek doing is basically taking advantage of your biases and taking advantage of your prejudice and reinforcing those stereotypes about audio and about marketing, and also not giving credit enough to the manufacturing side. One of the things that I've critiqued about him in the past, and I really just find ridiculous, he was doing a review one time, and he was talking about how the bass knob, volume knob on an amplifier had a plastic housing, and how in his opinion that was a cheap thing to have. That is really kind of strange to me because it doesn't affect the performance. Sure, I guess it's a look thing, but some good molded ABS looks fine to me. I couldn't understand what he was doing, and basically he's being an audio snob is really what it's about. And for me, I want to show you guys that being an audio snob does not pay. So and as far as this video goes, the video talks about basically this amp does 15 watts per channel. And it doesn't do whatever it says it does. Here there in the thumbnail, it says it does 500 watts. And of course it doesn't do 500 watts. So the point of the video is to call the manufacturer out and call them a liar and really kind of wag their finger at them in shame. And that's not a very fair assessment considering how stupid the market is in general. One of the reasons why these, what they call no-name brands, and this is propaganda from the big companies like Alpine, Rockford Fosgate, JL Audio, all those guys about what is a good brand and what isn't. Power Acoustic, under the Epsilon brand, makes both PPI and Soundstream and Power Acoustic. How can that be? Right? Isn't Soundstream awesome? Isn't PPI awesome? Why would Epsilon spend their time making Power Acoustic, which is basically the same product but under a different rating and under a different brand? Again, because consumers are easily fooled. That's really why. So for Derek to get on his high horse and shame these manufacturers that worked really hard. One of the jokes that I had about this was I thought about, let me see if I hopefully I loaded the video so that we could get to where I want to be. No, it didn't. So this just shows some of the guts. It's a single-sided PC board. It's one of the cheapest boards that you can make, but this was all done by hand. So, and I think about the children that manufactured this board in some far off place, and how building cheap circuit boards is better than being a child prostitute. Oh yeah, that puts that in perspective real quick, doesn't it? Right? Now you don't want to be such a fucking audio snob. Now you want to respect the work that these children have put into this board, right? And of course that's a joke, because I don't know for sure if this was built by children, and I don't know if you know the other alternative is to be a child prostitute. So I don't know that. So I want to bring it to your attention to understand that this manufacturer, JDL, whatever, and it's not even, JDL is just a brand. So, the company probably, that's the other one, is Gigawatts. It's not gigawatts, it's gigawatts, but it's G with a soft G, right? Like the difference between GIFs and GIFs. But this is kind of racist. Now, if Derek is a very light-skinned black guy, I can see that. But otherwise, like if you go to the beginning, it says every single day. That's some Ebonics bullshit right there, is what that is. And Derek seems to be as white as I am. So again, that seems like cultural appropriation and really kind of inappropriate. It's a gimmick is what he's doing. He also does a reference to Red Fox from the Sanford and Son show. And the joke is that, you know, Derek is being self-deprecating and basically, you know, trying to relate to other people that have made mistakes. And you big dummy. And so he's making fun of himself that he's a big dummy too. And one of the problems that I have with that is that, first of all, you're ripping off a clip from somebody who's worked really hard at looking like a poor person. Red Fox was by no means a poor person, but he portrayed that character for several reasons, and I don't want to get into that, but I respect Red's work, and I don't like it that Derek here is ripping it off, and he's also making a self-deprecating joke about it too, as if Derek is a big dummy, because that's not a great thing to say to people. Self-deprecating humor is, I understand it, and I've done it myself. I just don't think it's a great part of the formula. And that's one of the things why all these videos are the same that Derek puts. Derek has had great success with this, and I'm not knocking that down. Congratulations. He's a full-time YouTuber. He makes a pretty good living just doing these videos, which I think are kind of long and I don't want to say overly produced, but just unnatural. And then he does the little segment where it's do it bump dough. And again, dude, you're not black. Like, stop doing that. Like, it's just, again, I think, and I talked to my wife about this, about the criticism that I really have for Derek is you can change your format, dude. You have enough subscribers where you can be a little more, you can have more integrity and more natural ability without having to reach for the low hanging fruit. Does that make sense? So you don't have to pander to people, and you can mess with the formula. There's no formula for what you're doing. In fact, a lot of the reasons why I think Derek has been successful is because nobody's done this. Nobody has sit there and addressed this market, which is men in their 40s and 50s who, Bruce Springsteen's song Glory Days, who have this nostalgic feeling of old stuff, and you're trying to relate to this. So in many ways, I don't respect Derek because all of his material is recycled, right? And it all comes from somewhere else. It's not original content. So, and that was one of the issues that I had whenever I would do the magazines, right? I do story time with you guys. And I think it's kind of a cheap thing, because basically what those videos are is a reaction video. It's my reaction to what it is, but it's also commentary. So, and I always try to share some extra, things with you, or insights or jokes or something like that. And again, it's all improvised. It's just something that I do, and I find entertaining and hopefully educational. So let me go through this video. Oops. No, well, that's fine. We can do a mute. One of the other criticisms that Derek has about the amplifier is the extrusion looks like pipes, and it says air cooling system. that is actually correct. It is air cooling, and it actually provides quite a bit of surface area. Does it really need it that it's a 2x15 watt amplifier? No. But there's a lot of design choices that even high end, I use that in quotes because it's really what those companies are, is high bullshit. They use all sorts of tricks to make you think that their amplifier is better than everybody else's, and it really isn't. The other thing that I wanted to critique about this is that let's say this thing is sold. Typically, I remember seeing these things sold for about $50, but let's say the high end is $100. I'd rather be ripped off at $100 level than being ripped off by Rockford Fosgate at a 10x level, paying $1,000 for a 1,000-watt amp. And is it Rockford Fosgate a liar? Yeah, it's a liar. Does it do more than 1,000 watts? Yes. And they go, well, we're giving you more than what we advertise, so it's okay that we rip you off. And it's not. If you really want to get into it and have about integrity about rating amps, every amp should have the birth certificate lasered on the outside. It says this has done this, and also the standard that it's done. As you can see from the testing that Derek does in the videos, there's several different standards that you can go. And that's one of the reasons why amplifier manufacturers all talked about how they want. And again, these were all just the high-end manufacturers, the ones that belong to IASCA, the ones that belong to the CEA standards, who write the CEA 2006 standards. They wrote it to benefit their companies, not other brands, off brands, brands that market to poorer people. When the amplifier is the same thing, it's still a 1,000-watt amp, but let's say Boss rates it at 5,000 watts, and then what Rockford Fosgate rates it at a 500 watt, or a JL Audio rates it at a 500 watt amp. So both companies are liars, but it's about what you're lying about. And then for me, it always becomes about the value in the end. What is the dollar per watt? That's the value that you're going to get out of this product, or any product really. So he was making fun of this as well. He was making fun of how this isn't real. This is just a screen print. I don't even know what to say about that. So immature and inexperienced men, because we're not even talking about women. The percentage of women buying this kind of equipment is next to zero. Okay. So what they're really trying to say, and it's, again, some of this is because of the way that China sees us. It's also a little bit of racism on their part of the way that they see the types of buyers. Typically, the guys that buy this kind of amplifier are Hispanic, Mexican, Salvadorian, that all that kind of stuff. And they just don't know any better. So in that sense, the company is taking advantage of, and sometimes, let me finish the thought. They're taking advantage of people's inexperience and also what they like to see. And then what you see later on is in different variations of this marketing is like, say, Audioban. Audioban just chromed the fuck out of everything. And their whole theme was chrome flames. That's it. And blue LEDs and things like that. And if you look at the guts and you look at the inside, it's okay. It's fine. It's just as good as anything else. But people have a nostalgic feeling about it because they had this, or they couldn't afford this in high school. And so when they start getting in their 40s and they start making some real money, then they can go back and buy these things and fulfill that weird fantasy that they have, that they still carry around with them. And believe me, I'm guilty of this too. And really, for me, the only way that I was able to handle that sort of compulsiveness is to help other people. That's how I found out. Once I had my Rockford collection, I had whatever it was, two of the 250 M squareds. I had the EPX2 with the DSP, and I had OEQ2, and I had all the stuff to make a system. But then when I really looked at it objectively, I was like, this is some old garbage. Like, the reason why they don't make stuff like they did in the old school is because it's not that great. Because if it was that great, they would still keep making the same exact product. Okay? Or better yet, like if you're JL Audio, really, I think that what they do is lazy, and they're being cheap, and they're really just maximizing the harvest, the money grab that they're doing with their clients. Somebody just posted, I haven't looked it up to confirm it, They talked about how JL recently raised the price of the 12W7, which they have not changed in like almost 30 years. They've changed the price now to $1,400 for that, for MSRP. Now, are you actually going to pay $1,400? That's up to the retailer, and that's up to your market area. But you can buy it off the website definitely for $1,400. So anyways, Derek goes through this. The other thing that I don't like is like, this video could be a lot shorter. So I think that Derek is actually trying to manipulate a little bit of the algorithm. There are stats. I wanted to show you the dashboard. There are stats that we get as a content creator that tells you how much time people have viewed, the duration, the click-through rate, all kinds of metrics to help you, what's the word? It ends up maximizing ad value and ad revenue for Google. And so they pay you to follow these guidelines. And that's when you get into monetization. I qualify for monetization. Where does it? I clicked on the link earlier. Monetization. So I got all the boxes to qualify for monetization, but I will never click this for this channel, for Robot. This is for you guys. This is so that I am not tempted by this money to compromise myself and to compromise the integrity of these videos that I do. Again, these are like fun, light videos. The other thing is once you turn that switch on to monetization, then it becomes a business. And then the rules are different for you. And especially when it comes to Google and when it comes to the government. So that's a little tip for that. So there was another something that I wanted to get onto. Shit, I just forgot. Let me go back to this real quick. Monetization. Oh yeah, so that may be why some of his videos are long, is to increase the viewing time that you're watching the videos. And then of course that also allows Google to insert ads into the video as you're going along. So sorry about that. I think I also didn't like his criticism about cheap speakers to listen to. These are fine. Like, again, especially you get into home audio, you get these other issues of, marketing and cosmetics and, your ears don't care, but your eyes are the ones that do the buying, right? So, and then the other one was, and in fact, when I saw the problem that he was having with his amplifier, I've seen this actually in real life. One of the problems with this amplifier is that it uses a common ground. So it uses the RCA shield as a ground, or the resistance between the two is so little, you can actually use the RCA as a ground. So because he disconnects the ground, but the amp is still on, and then he disconnects the RCAs and the power light goes off. So, and I've actually seen where somebody forgets or poorly executes a ground in their vehicle, and then their RCA melts because it's pulling all that current through it all the way back to the head unit where it's then grounded to the chassis. So again, not that that's a big deal because the amplifier still works. What I'd really like to see is the performance on, in fact, I was surprised that it wasn't a chip amp. So a chip amp is just, it's like this big, and it gets heat sinked. And then you saw these in some of the legacy amps. And what's funny is you also see this in some Onkyo amps. So I repaired a couple of Onkyo amps. You can buy it. It usually starts with an STK. It's an all-in-one package. It's about this big, and it's called a chip amp. And it just heat sinks to the side. It's got one big heat sink built into it, and then you heat sink it to this outer heat sink, and it works great. The numbers are good enough on it. And it does a great job. It's basically an integrated circuit amplifier. And I was surprised that they had put so much effort into actually making this one instead of just going with a little chip amp, which is often what you see in a lot of these low-end, let's call them bait and switch type of amplifiers, where they tell you it's 500 watts, but it actually does something else, like whatever. That's, again, don't look at that. If anything, and I don't think this company is in business anymore, by the way. I think Derek actually had to go through a bit of a find in order to punch down, or in order to wag his finger at this brand and it's this manufacturer. When this manufacturer worked really hard on these to make something like this. So my criticism is for Derek to actually come out with his own brand. So if you really want to put your money where your mouth is and see how you do in the market and see how these people respond to what you think is old school audio or quality audio, by all means. In fact, I wasn't really surprised, but I was fascinated by JP. What's his real name? I just know him as JP. That JP did Down for Sound, which I find completely super annoying, and anybody that posts his ads I find super annoying as well. But that JP was able to come out with his own Down for Sound line of amplifiers, which again, all he did was it's a Me Too amplifier. I'm sure it's carried by somebody else. I don't know if they paid any tooling on the extrusion, but then you get it done in a color or a scheme that a design scheme that nobody else is using. And what they did was they went with like a blue anodization or a red anodization on some of their amps. So again, this is probably a electronic e-coat, what they call is a very thin powder coat, and it's basic silver, which is one of the most popular ones. The only other one that's more popular is black. And so again, when you're going over and you're getting a product designed and you're picking out the items that you want for the amplifier, you start to really pay attention to what's important and what's not. And so I would love to see, and I challenge Derek to number one, change your formula and admit to some of the things that you've been doing on your videos in order to make them more valuable to Google. The other one is that I disagree with is, so this was a couple years ago before Old School Audio on the Facebook page blew up, and I had gotten some recoil amps from Larry, and I had sent some to Derek because I had coordinated with him. I said, hey, can you test these? I just want to know what they do. If you do a video, that's great. Like let's make sure this is a positive video. And I didn't want to pay him, and he's like, don't pay me. And I was like, okay, that's fine. He sat on the amps for 6 months, and then the channel blew up. And one of the things that I thought I had a relationship with Derek was that I was a respected enough vendor, provider of like the old school plugs and things like that, and mostly just supporting the old school information, the manuals. I used to host all that stuff, and I had sent some and donated some magazines to him for the old school museum and all this kind of stuff. Derek didn't find the time to do the review, which I was like, that's fine, send them back to me. And then like it took him another 2 months to send them back to me. And he's like, I apologize for the delay. I've just been really, really busy. And I don't know, I just was really annoyed with it. And so, but what gets me about Derek and his position is how responsible he's using all those subscribers and his platform. So now Derek talks about when he does his reviews that he buys these out of his own pocket. But at the same time, he also chooses who gets a review and who doesn't, right? He'll make you famous if you really want him to, and it's not always for a good reason. And in the case of this manufacturer, this brand JDL, he's making a fool of them, and I find that really kind of gross. And I think you're better than that. The other problem I have is calling this a flea market. Flea market makes it sound like those things have fleas and their people are dirty and stuff like that. That may or may not be the case, but you have not been to some Walmarts that are just filled with gross people. It's called the Apache Junction Walmart, and it's famous for creating the website People of Walmart. I don't know if they were locals or if they were college kids over here in ASU that would go over to the Walmart over there in Apache Junction and watch people. So there's a lot of places that are gross, a lot of Americans that are gross. So don't call this a flea market. If anything, call it a swap meet. Swap meet is actually, I think, a brand of group gathering where people, buy and sell things out of the back of their pickup trucks or whatever. So, but if you guys can stop using the word flea market, that would be fucking great. That's all. That's my request and my annoyance with this. Now, I know it sounds cool when you say Flea Market Friday because it's like kind of catchy, but I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Let's see. That was the equalizer. It's just a screen print. I think he was making fun of these as well, but I thought this was great because it has high level input right here. And then it has the speaker level output. That was great. I thought that was a really great thing. It also makes really good use of this product right here, which of course is just a piece that lots of amplifier manufacturers would use. But of course he was punching down about this this amplifier and their use of these types of terminals when, you know, millions of people use this on their speaker terminals, on the back of the box terminal. They use the same exact terminal, spring loaded. It just has a little blade piece of metal that comes up in there. Typically it's just nickel plated brass that stabs the wire and makes that connection. So the other thing is though, we got in it was a US amps, and they didn't use these terminals, but they used some that were very cheap that just were the screw type that you see on cheap amps now. And that's a US amps amplifier. So if you want to talk about lazy, again, you don't have to criticize these things. You go make amplifiers. See how easy it is, see how nice it is. And then you put it out there for the margin that you want. And let's see how well you do with the margins, right? And then you know, you lay down 40 grand for a bunch of amplifiers that you know have all the Tits McGee type of features that you want in it. And then you see how quickly you get a return on that investment. That's what I really want to see Derek do. So, but the other one is to mess with his formula. I think his formula is kind of bullshit. And I don't appreciate this. If you do want to ever watch a video, and I actually would love to see Spike Lee do a reboot on his film Bamboozled. It's a wonderful film, and it to me it's the ideas presented in the movie are as revolutionary as what he did for Do the Right Thing. Do the Right Thing, of course, has a better visual because he had the money for the lighting and the film and things like that. But I highly recommend you watch Bamboozled to understand sort of that compromise as an artist versus what's popular. And so, again, here's the plug for his website. You go to the website, and that's where he can monetize that even more quickly than he can through the Google things. I think T-Pain, I was reading this the other day, T-Pain posted a great tweet where it showed how many streams that you have to stream in order to make $1, and Google paid the least. It was something like over 1,200 streams that you have to stream a music video on, or even just the song, in order to make $1 that Google pays out. So really the winner in all of these videos, and the winner that, and that's what's funny, is when they monetize you, you become their slave in effect, and you're working for very, very cheap relative to the money that they are making from the ads. So, but again, this is just my criticism. And if anybody has this sort of criticism for my videos, I am open to it. Please be a somebody. And not that I'm afraid of a nobody or somebody that's unknown or undiscovered, as you might say, or even inexperienced. If your critique is accurate, if I can go, okay, wow, this guy's got something to say, and I want to learn more about it. So I'm really open to criticizing. What I don't like is when people just start name calling and going to the lowest denominator about figure out why you don't like me, figure out why, and then talk to me about it. I would love to have that conversation. So, but again, I don't know Derek really. I just know him through his videos, and I've emailed him a couple times, and that was it. Some of the things that he promised to me, he didn't deliver on. I don't want to judge him too harshly because I'm busy too, and I don't sometimes keep the promises that I make as well. So that's not really the issue of this. If anything, it's really the criticism of stuff like this. And let me pause that. And really just the idea of supporting children in the marketplace. So, but again, that's where everybody's going to. That's where Rock for Fozzie is going to. That's where Cicada Audio is going to. Is these grown men that play weekend warrior and go out there and ride their motorcycles and have all this money to burn on bullshit. And the problem with it, that I can tell you right away, is that it's not satisfying. You think it's satisfying, but it's actually not. And if you go back to, again, the boring shitty things that I tell you to do in my videos, like pick up trash, like help take care of other families, help teach other people how to make money, those kinds of things. That's really what is important in life, not this bullshit. Not complaining about how your chicklets Alpine finally took a shit after 30 years or whatever it was. So again, these are all both bullshit. You can replace this now with a $5 Bluetooth module from AliExpress. So it does the same quality, if not better. So I think that was it. Again, he's just making fun of some of the things that they do. This is how China views us sometimes, that they'll put a pass sticker that, which is supposed to resemble a quality control decal that you see on something like an audio control item that was actually assembled and tested here. You have to look at the marketing that this amplifier, if it just sits on the shelf, is good to nobody. But if it's out there in the market and it got sold, then it's actually doing somebody some good. So they're going to do whatever they can in order what they think is going to sell the amplifier. So you might not want to judge them so harshly, because Alpine, JL, and Rockford all do the same exact thing, just on a different level. So if anything, I want your takeaway from this is to stop being so fucking judgmental about products in the marketplace. If you don't like them, don't buy them. Certainly don't buy them on purpose and then make a video making fun of them. That's kind of like terrible. Like, that's like grabbing a retarded person and then telling everyone how stupid they are for being retarded. Like, that is retarded. Don't do that kind of stuff. And that's what Derek is doing in this video. And that's the criticism I have. It took me a couple of days to figure out why I was so annoyed with the video and why I really just got this heavy heart about what he was doing. And I was like, you can do better than this, especially on this platform where you've got, let me see what he's got. 261,000 subscribers. So, congratulations, Williston Audio Labs. Congratulations. But I think you can use your platform more responsibly and have a bit more integrity than what you're presenting as the look of integrity. So, but anyways, that's my criticism. I love you guys. I will be busy all day today cleaning up after the rainstorm from last night. Happy holidays and Happy New Year, and love one another and try not to drink so much, and don't shoot off fireworks because it scares dogs. Love you.